it. If it doesn't work, then whatever.
All right, it's recording.
Hello.
Hi.
We can start by introducing. My name is Maddie. I'm from the U.S.
I'm Sherida. I'm from the Netherlands.
I'm Annika. I'm also from the Netherlands.
I'm Abby, Minnesota.
And I'm Caitlin from Minnesota.
But Caitlin's video is not working, so she has to do voice.
Yeah. But so for our presentation, we decided to talk about infidelity in relationships and just how that affects everyone within a family unit. So we'll kind of give you a rundown of our case study.
Yeah, we chose my case, which I presented in meeting 2 or 3, I believe. But my story was that when I was 3-year-old, my dad got cancer, and so he had to stay in the hospital for some time, and my mom took care of me. But because my dad was in the hospital and my parents were separated from each other, they realized that they had lived past each other and they had fallen out of love. And my mom wanted to try and fix it for me, as I was still their child, and she felt like I needed a mom and a dad. But then she found out he cheated on her, so she was like, goodbye, I'm leaving. And so yeah, they got a divorce, and I lived with my parents, both my parents, for about 10 years now. And at a certain point, I left my dad's house and went to live with my mom because I realized that he had cheated on her. So that was our topic, like infidelity and cheating. So that was that's what we chose to do research about.
And then from there, we each kind of went in and looked at our country's statistics on infidelity and tried to look at things like ages, reasons, more prevalence, things like that. So we'll start by going through just our facts and what we found, and then we'll let the girls from the Netherlands go through theirs, and then we'll kind of break down our findings between the two. As for the stats that I found, it was tend to be most common in the oldest of people, and then also 18 to 36. And they said around the 2-year mark of marriage is when cheating is at highest risk in the U.S.
And then I found, when we're talking about prevalence of infidelity, I found that 36% of every marriage has at least one act of infidelity. And then we went into reasons in the U.S., and they found that the main reasons for men was more so that it was just for sex. They weren't looking for any emotional support from another woman. And another reason men said they did it was just to simply see if it was possible, relating it to their ego. And then we found main reasons for females was sort of the opposite. They were seeking an emotional connection, whereas the men were just seeking physical connections.
And then for mine, I found that 60 to 75% of couples who experience infidelity end up staying together. Not to say that they have a great relationship or anything, but after that, and then we also were looking at the prevalence of children within a relationship and how that affected it. And we found that it really didn't matter, that people who had young children were just as likely to cheat on their spouse as those who didn't have any children. And we honestly found a lot of similarities between us and those in the Netherlands. So
yeah, as for the people in the Netherlands, ages for males was mostly end of 20s, and females were more likely to cheat after their 30s. The prevalence was 31% of all couples had some experience with cheating or being cheated on. As for males tended to cheat a little less, 25% opposed to 27% for the females, and that was in the age range of 20 to 45. The main causes were the sexual lust-seeking, midlife crisis, enlarging egos, low self-confidence, growing apart in the relationship, the other party will forgive me, and because the other party did. As for the last theory we found in our research was that evolution psychologists stated that males needed to spread their genes for the biggest chance for the largest amount of offspring. For the divorce, no percentages were found, and it was the same for the couples with children, but we did find a lot of blogs about children who had one or both of their parents had been cheating. So yeah, there were quite a few similarities as for the low self-confidence, and the prevalences were pretty similar, but the age ranges did tend to be a little different, if I remember correctly.
I think that we thought that it maybe had something to do with like the schooling and the differences in like ages and like when you kind of like get to different stages in your life compared to like within your different cultures. But I think that when we reviewed most of the data, we kind of found that it was very similar with the facts that we found, and like we kind of just broke into like trying to figure out like reasons why that would be, and like kind of had that discussion and things like that. But overall, I think we found that they're pretty similar culturally.
One thing I felt like we had kind of talked about too, like it was kind of heartbreaking, just like I feel like finding the similarities. Like I almost wanted there to be like a big difference, but I feel like when Sharita, when you like shared your story, we were all kind of like, wow, like that really hits close to home for like whether it's us individually or people that we know. Like I feel like each one of us knows someone that it's affected, you know. I mean, like Maddie, I think you shared about like your aunt or just different stories, and it was just like if it wasn't us personally, it was one or another, and it was like it was sad that it was so similar and so prevalent, you know.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, I'm assuming if it's the same across the US and Netherlands, it's got to be similar throughout the entire world.
Yeah, I think there's also, we both live in a Western culture, so maybe if it were an African or Asian country, it might have been different. But yeah, as we had a news item tonight, like in North Korea, there was much more sexual abuse under women. So yeah, it's just a matter of culture and how far the development there will be.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to find out like about third world countries compared to like us like first world countries, and how that difference and like the respect for a relationship and like how infidelity happens in their countries versus our countries too. Like what situations like that occurs.
Yeah, but also the definition, because for one it might just be flirting, but for the other it might be the whole way. So where's the definition?
I think so.
Also...
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, there are also like, I think that there are more countries that we think that have like what do you call it, like polygamy, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Like multi-marriage, like where you have one man and multiple women. I think that is more common than we think also, and I feel like that's also like a major part of, like, as Sharita talked about women's abuse, I think that's also like a major part of like the status of women in society, you know. And I think that men are then more likely to cheat, even though practically they are allowed to, but like for our meanings it's cheating.
Yeah. I think just summing it up, I felt like, Kat, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say I felt like we had good discussions about it. I don't know. I lost my train of thought, so you just go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that the only reason why things could be misconstrued when it comes to men cheating and women cheating is I think maybe when people report if they've cheated, they have different ideas, like we said, of what is considered cheating. Like, I honestly believe that the males would be a lot higher, but I don't think a lot of men, I mean, I could just be clumping men together, but I don't think they believe that flirting and emotional connections are cheating.
Yeah, we found that in that study. Someone read a study that said guys didn't consider like flirtatious relationships cheating, or someone found that study that said if it's emotional, it still wasn't cheating because they just thought the physical was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the girl was like, "Oh, clearly, if it's emotional, you're cheating." You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're definitely right. Discussing our data, I feel like the men and the women, the percentages were so close, which just in my personal experience, that's not how it is at all. Like, I feel like people I know, the men is so much higher than the females I know, but I think that might be why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It might. No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I just realized that, my dad, I didn't even tell this, but my dad did not like physically cheat. He only cheated like mentally. Of course, there was a little bit of physical, but it was not like sex or anything. So
that makes a huge difference, though. About I just feel like what we're talking about, you know.
Yeah.
Like it hurts all the same, and I think that's the important part. Like how it affected your family, regardless of if it was emotional or physical, it hurt you and it hurt your mom the same way.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so emotional cheating is definitely something.
For sure.
All right.
All right. A conclusion.
I think we just did our conclusion.
Our conclusion is I feel like we gained some friendships in this
project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Side note, how do you click who's on the big screen when you do this?
I think you can.
Video.
Oh, I don't want to be on it. I was just wondering.
Abby, I think you can like click like stop full screen, like stop the spotlight.
Oh, okay.
Did you find
I was just wondering. I was trying to like click on different people's and I couldn't get them to.
I had that in the beginning too. I was like, why is my face?
Is there anything else you want to leave said before we stop the recording?
Well, I just want to say that I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and we had such a fun time, and I just feel so grateful for to meet you guys and talk to you guys and be able to do this. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, what people don't know is that we're all friends on Snapchat and Instagram and
I know. I'm so happy. I'm glad we got to meet you guys and talk to you. I'm kind of sad. I like these meetings.
We can continue them on some other platform, I think.
Yeah. We're gonna what was I gonna say? What's that thing? We can not FaceTime. I don't know.
I don't have FaceTime, but Facebook has some.
Yes,
similar.
like the live chat.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we do. Oh, that's
fun.
All right. We're done.
Yay.
Yes.
We did it.
Okay, I painted my nails.
Pretty.
All right, bye guys. Thanks.
All right,
bye guys.
Bye-bye.